Hey. All right, so I originally was thinking about making a video about all the things I wanted to see in the next Xenoblade game, but I thought it would be better if I brought a special somebody on to basically just discuss it with me and just bounce ideas off of each other. So I'm collabing with Skull Kid Kazooie here.
Hello, I'm Skull Kid Kazooie.
So very, very great person, good friend of mine. So we just wanted to, we just basically wanted to just bounce ideas off of each other and just discuss what we wanted to see in the next Xenoblade game, whatever that may be. So we'll just get right into it. What's something that you would want to see for the next Xenoblade game?
Wait, do you want to do an intro first?
Yeah, I'll record that after because I don't know what I want to say for the intro.
Okay. So, first thing I want to see in the next Xenoblade game, I think that auto-attacking is really interesting the way they handle it, and I think that, personally to me, I don't really like the way they handled it in 3, since it feels very unnecessary for everything except for charging up arts. In 1, it was a really great way to, if your arts are still recharging and you're trying to move around, it's a really good way to get an extra damage. And in 2, it's really good for comboing and also just for building up your arts faster. And there's a lot of interesting stuff you can do with it in 2. Whereas 3, it's kind of on a timed thing, and it's only for when you can't use arts. So I think for 4, the best way they can handle it is by, I don't know if it's going to be like 3 where it combines stuff from the first 2 games, but the way that I would personally handle it is to combine the 2 ideas. You can auto attack while running, but when you're standing still, you do the 3-hit combo like in 2. So if you're playing as Mio in 4, which I know wouldn't happen, but if you were playing as her, she'd do the first few hits and then she'd have 2 other things. But if you're moving, then you'd be doing just the first hit. It would be less damage, but it would be a way to do extra damage. And you might be saying, well, wouldn't that be annoying? Because in 1, it was kind of a problem, because if you're auto attacking while running, but you're attacking a spiked enemy, then you start taking damage. So the best way to get around that is to make it a thing that you can kind of turn on and off, to make it like a feature that you can not in the menus, but during gameplay while you're in fights, like a toggle. And also keep the dash from 3, where you can dash around, because I think that's probably one of the best ideas 3 has for its combat. So adding that, where you can't auto-attack, but you move a lot faster, that's also a good way of kind of overcoming that issue.
I actually like that idea a lot, actually. I haven't thought about that before, but it would make sense. It would have been better if Xenoblade 3 included that, because it already combined the combat systems of 1 and 2, and that would have just made it so much better. Because I know a lot of people don't like the combat system of 2 and 3 where you have to stand still to auto attack. So not only does it just appeal to everybody for giving them both kinds, but like you said, it would just be a lot better for combat anyway. So you don't want to stand still and do the combo, you can move around for positional arts, but still be able to attack and give you a way to charge your arts back up while you're positioning and all of that. So I think that is a pretty cool idea that I don't know how I haven't thought of before.
Yeah, I put a lot of thought into this.
Yeah, I don't blame you, but one thing I want to see in the next Xenoblade game is a new form of transportation. All right, I've been spoiled by X. Skells are so cool. Bring back Skells or something like that. I thought we'd get something in Xenoblade 3, but no. And it would have been cool if in Xenoblade 3 we had the opportunity to transform into Ouroboros form to move around the map faster, because the maps in Xenoblade 3 are huge, and just running across different points does take a while. So being able to fly around the map in Ouroboros would have been so dope.
Yeah, I have not played X, but the skells seem like a really appealing part, and especially if you can battle well inside of them. Maybe if they have I don't know. But the only like other quick way of getting around maps that I can think of in the Xenoblade games is by doing quick run in Xenoblade 1, where you like attach the gem, but that takes up a gem slot. So maybe like some sort of buff. I know you get buffs from doing stuff in towns, but that'd be helpful. Scales would be amazing. How could they improve on scales?
Before I get into that, in Xenoblade X, there's also a sprint button that you could just literally sprint around the map, so they could bring that back. That would probably be more plausible than skills or something equivalent to skills. But a way to improve upon skills, I'm not really too sure on that one. I don't have any issue with skills. I guess the combat does feel a bit restricted, but I mean, that's given since they're a lot bigger and stronger, and you can change the arts just like you can on ground combat. I don't really have any complaints about skills really, except for some of the materials you need to get some of the stronger skills are very, very rare and very difficult to obtain in the first place. Sometimes it's taken me like 2 hours just to get a singular material that I need. But I mean, it's worth it because it's for the Ares 90, which is the strongest skill in the game, relatively. But I don't know, I did hear, this is more of like a Xenoblade X thing, but I do hear it's kind of like the chain attack music for Xenoblade 3. A lot of people want a way to toggle the scale flight theme because it activates every time you jump or fly. So I have heard that.
More toggles.
Yeah, more toggles would definitely be nice for Xenoblade.
Yeah, something cool I kind of just thought of. I don't really have like a full fleshed out idea, but you know how like in Ouroboros it's kind of like a special, like once you get it charged up type of thing. It'd be kind of cool if maybe Ouroboros was like more half the combat. Like you could be on foot, maybe if you're dealing with like lots of enemies, but if you get into like, you could like transform to Ouroboros at will and it'd be more like single target, or maybe it'd have like a specific gimmick and you still like take damage and probably get a lot of aggro, but you'd be able to do whatever you're doing more efficiently. I think it'd be cool.
Would that be any different from what we already have in Xenoblade 3? Being able to have you played Xenoblade 3?
Have I what?
Have you played Xenoblade 3?
Yeah, I played all 3 of the mainline games and all of the DLC.
Okay, because I'm having a hard time.
I understand how it,
Go ahead.
I understand how it works in 3, but I'm thinking more like they would be less powerful, but you'd be able to like transform to them at will instead of having to wait for a gauge to charge up.
Yeah.
And the thing would be like you're gonna get like lots of aggro, and you're gonna still like in this potential 4th game, your health would go down. It doesn't in 3, but your health would go down, and you'd have all the aggro on you, but you'd be able to be more efficient. And maybe if they improve, and maybe if they keep the job class, but they go more deep with it, maybe different jobs or maybe different classes when combined can do different things. Maybe there'd be specific arts for each class that would be transferred over to Ouroboros that you could use when you're in that.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense now. It would incentivize more people to actually use Ouroboros, since like now that I've beaten the game and I know the combat and everything, I don't really use Ouroboros. I kind of just forget that it's there. So having it be more readily accessible and easier to use would definitely help vary the combat a bit.
Yeah, Ouroboros is just kind of like a safety guard most of the time. It is very helpful though.
Yeah, it's very easy to cheese certain enemies and moves just by going into Ouroboros, and then especially Noah's sort of origin, I think that's what it's called, the talent art, is very, very good, and it's just so easy to make something that would have been a challenge not as challenging anymore.
That is true. Maybe is there like I haven't messed much with Land of Challenge, but is there certain like limitations? Like you can't use the Infinity Sword in that, but you can use it when you have that. Maybe in some, but not others.
There aren't any. There are very small changes like that. For one of them, art recharge gauge is boosted, so they recharge a lot faster. There's another one where you can only fight in Ouroboros, I think. But there's a very small changes like that, so it doesn't really restrict a whole lot of anything that would make anything harder. If anything, some of the restrictions make it a bit easier. Oh.
Yeah, that could be cool. Speaking of like arch recharging faster, maybe if you could like have like specific party-wide buffs you could apply before battle that would permanently like maybe give like a buff and a debuff. So say you have like you find this item called the magical clock and it applies to everyone in your party and it makes your arts charge faster, but it also makes your defense go down for everyone. Something like that could be cool.
Yeah, I think Future Deem tried to do something like that. For each of the characters and their skill trees can unlock a skill that if you attack an enemy on a certain side of them, it applies a buff to the whole party. So, for example, I think with Matthew, if you attack from behind, it applies fast recharge to everybody at the start of the fight. So I think it did that, but what you're saying would probably be better off, because sometimes it'd be hard to position and attack an enemy before they notice you. So something like what you said would probably work a lot better.
Yeah. Do you have? I have a lot of ideas. So do you want to share a few of yours, if you have any?
I can't really think of anything outside that scale one, the movement one. So you can share yours, and I might be able to bounce off of that.
Yeah, to hopefully add on to the movement one. Maybe you know how in Paper Mario 64, I'm a pretty big Paper Mario fan. In the first Paper Mario game, there is a spin ability where if you spin, you go really fast, but you come to a dead end at the end of the spin. But if you jump out of it towards the end, you can carry your momentum. Do you think something like that would be cool in Xenoblade, where maybe you could run and then like kind of like in Fortnite, you could like run and maybe do like a slide or something, and that could give you more momentum and make you explore the world quicker?
That's not something I've thought of before, but I don't see how it would be a bad thing. Any way to traverse the map a lot faster is a good thing, and it would just make it more interesting than just running everywhere.
Yeah, 3 introduces, I don't know if 3 introduces it, but 3 has the field effects where you can like climb up really steep hills and stuff. You can grind on ropes. Maybe just more of that type of, like maybe like an ability to like double jump or something. Maybe an ability to like climb up some certain ledges. Adding some backtracking to the game would be cool.
Yeah, I think more freedom to explore the world would go a long way, and it would make exploring the world a lot more fun, because it does seem a bit restricted with basically just running everywhere, and to get on top of higher places you got to climb the rope, or like climb the vines, or find a rope that leads up there. So in terms of just like exploration, it does feel a bit limited, which is why I like Xenoblade X so much, because once you get the skills, you can explore the rest of the world. You can go explore anything, doesn't matter how high it is, how far it is. If there's something on top of this massive cliff you want to get to, can't climb the walls, you can just hop in your Skell and fly up there. So I really do think adding Skells to Xenoblade X was one of, if not the best thing that was added to Xenoblade X, if not the entire series, in terms of just exploration. It really does make that much of a difference. Adding more exploration, I guess, methods would help. Like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom You had Rivali's Gale to shoot up in the air. You could climb mountains no matter how high, all of that. So more freedom for exploration would go a long way.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily want like climbing, because I kind of like how you have to like find your own path. Something I was thinking about while you were talking about the scales is maybe like seeing like a hill or something, or a mountain you can't climb, it seems. Maybe if you could like get in Xenoblade 4, I don't know if they'll bring back scales, but if you could somehow get up there but you're not allowed to explore it on foot, and you could see like maybe there's like a super boss or some like treasure or something, and then the goal is like, okay, now I need to explore around and find a way up here. Maybe there's like a hidden cave, maybe you have to come back with abilities. Just like any like cool like Metroidvania elements are really good in any game.
Yeah, I agree that would make it more interesting than just being able to climb and just infinitely refill your stamina. So I do like that though, how you kind of have to think and figure out a different path in order to get to a hidden area, secret landmark, instead of just flying up there or just climbing up there. So I do like that about the main numbered Xenoblade games.
What else should they add? I think we should talk about what they should do for story last. So is there any ideas for combat that you might have?
Combat, I mean, bringing back pouch items from Xenoblade 2 would be cool. Maybe I'm just biased, but Xenoblade 2's combat is my favorite. I like everything they did, and just the amount of customization there was with core chips, aux cores, accessories, all the different blades in themselves, the affinity charts. So more customization in combat other than just classes and accessories. I guess gems. Now that I think about it, Xenoblade 3 did have a lot of customization, actually, because you could have master arts, you have master skills, accessories, gems, different classes. So I don't know, I guess bringing back pouch items was a big thing for me, because after playing Xenoblade 2 so long with art recharge pouch items, it's kind of hard to go back from that. So bringing back pouch items or some sort of mechanic like that would be cool, but that might just be redundant with gems. I guess that's Xenoblade 2's equivalent of gems, so maybe not.
I think the pouch items is actually a really cool idea. I do feel like I would vastly appreciate if it was in the next Xenoblade game, and I think that just more options for combat, because in a game like Xenoblade 1 or Xenoblade 2, you can't do the 3-hit combo, but you can also like stutter step and do like the first hit over and over again, and it's like really quick and really quickly charges up your stuff. There's not really anything like that in 3 or even 1. As much as I'm biased towards 1, there's not really anything like that in 1. I think that's what makes 2's combat. I agree, it's the best in the series. It's probably my favorite combat in any game ever.
Yeah, fun.
And just adding. Sorry, you go.
I was gonna say, a funny thing is, I'm pretty sure the whole stutter stepping thing in Xenoblade 2 was an exploit. Like, I don't think that was intended by the developers to be a thing.
Yeah.
And it just became.
It wasn't.
Yeah, so. But I do appreciate that it is there, and they made sure they went out of their way to remove it in 3, which kind of is tough, but I mean, it's understandable.
I get it. 3 is going for something very different. I will admit 3 is probably better balanced than 2 or even 1.
In terms of combat?
In terms of combat, I think difficulty is a bit low for 3, but I only got stuck like twice in the whole game. It was very fluent, quick game. Not quick game, but a very like easy to play game.
Yes.
There is something that I really... Oh, sorry, go.
No, you can finish what you're saying.
Okay. There is like one thing that I'm really hoping they'll do more in the next Xenoblade game, because something that they experimented with in 2 and even like not 2 in 3 and even like in 2 and 1 at some parts, I think, was area affect things on the ground, especially in 3 with like the hoops and stuff. And I think making it so that attacks have to physically connect in, maybe not all the time, but more often in 3 and in 4 would be really cool. Like adding more, like maybe like a monster or enemy could have like an attack where they like rain down meteors from the sky, and there's like areas of the ground that light up, and it's like, oh, I can't step there or else I'm gonna take damage. So it's less about having better stats and more about like, I gotta evade this while making sure I'm still attacking the guy.
Yeah, I like that actually, because it would put more emphasis on actually paying attention to the combat and strategizing than just making this super broken build that you can just destroy the strongest super boss in 2 seconds with. So yeah, I think it would make you pay attention to the combat more, think about what you're doing, which I'm always a fan of. I love combat systems that make me strategize and actively pay attention to what I'm doing and not just mindlessly spam this super strong move. A big reason why I like XenoSaga 2's combat system so much, I'm not going to get too into that because I know you haven't played XenoSaga, but the way XenoSaga 2 handles... Huh?
I said unfortunately not.
Yeah, the way XenoSaga 2 handles its combat system is very, very interesting to me. It may be the weakest game in the trilogy, but I think it has the best combat, and I love it. But going back to what I was saying before, speaking of difficulty, I am kind of sad that Bringer of Chaos, or at least some form of it, didn't return in Xenoblade 3, and I really do hope they bring back some type of difficulty like Bringer of Chaos back in the next Xenoblade game, because a large part of my playtime in Xenoblade 2 is Bringer of Chaos and just different challenge runs and New Game Plus of Bringer of Chaos. I think around like a third of my playtime is just fucking around in Bringer of Chaos, so I really do hope they bring something like that back, if not that exactly, and custom in the next game.
It would have been funny if in 3 they did bring it back, but it was so called Bringer of Chaos. So it was like a hardcore reference.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Except instead of just the generic hard difficulty where it just ups enemy numbers, like their attack and HP, and that's really it. So I think Bringer of Chaos is like the best difficulty option I've ever seen in any game, and it's so sad that it's just only in Xenoblade 2.
Yeah, I haven't played with Bringer of Chaos on ever, I don't think. I've tried with a few super bosses, but I started a playthrough recently and I was too scared to do Bringer of Chaos.
Yeah, it's very scary at first, especially if you're starting out fresh and don't really have min-max bleeds and all of that. I think Bringer of Chaos is more to test your knowledge of the combat system, so once you get a deep understanding of it, Bringer of Chaos kind of just flips that around, like test it to see how much you actually know. So I think that's pretty cool.
I'll have to try it. But yeah, it would be cool if for 4 they kind of like, the developers like waited a bit before they added it. They like saw like people's strategies and stuff, and like most common things, and we're like, okay, well, how about we like try and break these strategies? How about we add monsters with like strengths against these incredibly big builds, and you have to come up with like unique builds that aren't like the popular mainstream ones for the super hard mode.
I love that idea, like the developers like interacting with the community, looking at all these builds they're making, and then try to find a way to actively challenge that. I like that. It would cause Monosoft to be a lot more interactive with the community, which I'm always for. So that's actually a really cool idea. I like that one a lot.
It would be very funny.
Something else, I think Future Deemed was a great game, obviously, but one of my favorite things about it was how much quality of life it added. I think Future Deemed added like the most and the best quality of life options. Like Collectopedia came back from Xenoblade 1 and X, but the Enemypedia is a cool is a cool concept, as well as
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna bring Enemypedia up at some point because Enemypedia, like if it got expanded on and added to like a full-blown Xenoblade game, like just more like encouragement to go after monsters. Because the only like Xenoblade games, well, I guess I do it in all of them at some points, but the only times I'm going after monsters in the field in one is if I really want, like if I'm doing a quest, and two, I do occasionally fight monsters just because the combat is that fun. But I just think more encouragement to go after them and try and fill out like a encyclopedia of all the different monsters you've destroyed. Maybe being able to like see their models, see their weaknesses and strengths. Maybe even like having like test battles with them, kind of like Pikmin Ford's Picklepedia. Before I have to add Pikmin 4 spoilers. I don't know if that's a spoiler technically, but just more interactability with stuff like that.
Yeah, you just reminded me about something else I wanted to talk about. But going back to the future redeem thing, like I said, the Enemypedia also on the map, it kind of shows you a completion, like the percentage and how many certain things you got. So it shows on the left the whole like completion bar of all the different things you can find in that area and how much you found in that area. I like that a lot because I am a completionist. When I see stuff like that, I love just 100% completing it. So that does encourage people to go out and actually explore the areas and dig through every little corner you can to find everything. I like that whole map completion thing a lot, even though it's something very minor. And for someone like me who loves completing and is a completionist, that goes a long way and is a very huge thing that I do hope they bring back. Something else that you reminded me of was in Xenoblade 3D, there is an exclusive feature called the Collection, which is basically a jukebox and a model viewer, so you can view models of different characters and enemies you fought throughout the game. I really hope they bring those two things back for Xenoblade, the next Xenoblade game. Above all else, I want those two back, a model viewer and a jukebox.
Yeah, I think I watched your video talking about it. You made a video talking about it, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was a good video. But that is very shocking that wasn't a definitive edition or 3. I do hope that comes back.
Yeah, because I'm a huge sucker for a jukebox. I love game music, and I would spend just hours and hours and hours just in the jukebox alone. Like Sonic Mania, I have Sonic Mania on my Switch, and I think I've spent more hours in DA Guardians, which is its jukebox. I've spent more hours in there than actually playing the game. Like a jukebox would be so nice for the next game.
You can make like playlists for music in Smash, and back when before I had a phone in school, I would like hook up my headphones to my Switch and just listen to my Smash playlist.
Yeah, so it's criminal. It's criminal that that's not in the game. So I really do hope whatever the next game be, whether that be Xenoblade 4, X2, XenoSaga, whatever, I need a jukebox. At least a jukebox.
They could like bring back all of the series music, and like you could just create your own custom playlist of like all the songs you like and be able to listen to it. Maybe even during like gameplay if you so desire, kind of like in Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, or you could have something like Super Mario Odyssey, to where like in the menu there's a list of all the songs and you can change the song that's playing in that certain area, so you can choose whatever song you want to play wherever you are. I think that would be very nice and help from certain area themes becoming stale.
I feel so bad for Mario Odyssey 100% speedrunners, because there's a certain toad in the game where you have to play certain music for a moon, but they can't go back in the menu to turn off the song. So it's like sometimes it's like really repetitive songs that they just have to listen to for the rest of the area.
But yeah, that is, I think that's more of a niche issue for like speedrunners. No, mind you, it is pretty annoying. It is pretty annoying, but I think that's a very minor issue. So in the grand scheme of it.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of funny. hopefully, hopefully there'd be maybe even options like without going into a menu to like turn on or off your playlist in Xenoblade 4.
Yeah, that would be nice. So just so many small quality of life things that would just make the game so much better.
Yeah, 3 has a lot of. I think 3 is a great blueprint for the next game because 3 already has like a lot of its stuff nailed down. Like I'd really like if the items were the same, if they still had characters like talking in the overworld during like specific events. Maybe even like some of like some similar structure with some of the things it does. But I think 3 most of the time absolutely nails all of the just polish mostly.
Yeah, it is very polished, and like it's the way it handles things are very nice. Like you said, one of the small things that I do appreciate in games is the voice acting in the overworld or during like mini cutscenes, I guess. Instead of just reading the text box, the characters will actually speak. I do like that a lot. It just feels a lot more immersive.
You also get like funny different interactions.
And bringing back like heart to hearts. I don't think there are heart to hearts in Xenoblade 3, but bringing those back would be nice.
Absolutely. Those are some of the things I missed the most during 3. The campfire scenes are like fine, but none of them, I don't think any of them are voice acted. So most of the time I was just kind of like, oh, I have to read all this. But making more like of the personal moments from 1 and 2, maybe adding more of that, like maybe not to the extreme level that 1 does it, but adding the decision making that could raise your affinity with other party members. Affinity would be a very cool thing to bring back.
Oh yeah, like party affinity. That would. Xenoblade 2 kind of had that still, but that's between Driver and Blade. But like the party-wide affinity like Xenoblade 1 had, I really hope they bring that back because that was fun, raising affinity, and it actually benefits you in combat to raise affinity between the parties. So it's kind of sad that that didn't come back. At least like raising affinity between the Ouroboros pairs, not even that was a thing. So
yeah, the series does a great job of making everyone feel so connected, but I do feel like just combining all of the connected elements of all of the games would just be the best thing for 4. Also, speaking of, a social system might be kind of cool.
A social system like Persona, like social links and all that.
But more Xenoblade. What?
No, go ahead, dude.
No, I don't have much else to say. I think just the social system would be really cool, especially if it was all voice acted.
Yeah, I'm not, at least for me, I'm not a big fan of that. At least how Persona did it, but I'm not really that big of a Persona fan anyway. That being a large reason why, but social systems like that I'm not really a fan of because it just feels more of like a high school simulator to me, but that's just an issue I have. I do think it would be a very good idea in the grand scheme. I'm sure the overall community would enjoy that because we get to spend more time with the characters and see how they interact with each other, so their bonds growing together and then our bonds with the characters growing. So even though it's not something I'd be interested in, I do think it would be a very nice addition.
Hopefully if it does get added, it's added in a way that you like, even if it's only a little bit.
Yeah, so like the heart to hearts, that I'm cool with, but like the entire social structure and system with different levels, I'm not really a fan of.
Do you think it might help if like, rather than like it being like a high school simulator, like they're just kind of hanging out, maybe if they talk about like, say there's like a war going on in the game, because Xenoblade has a lot of war, maybe if they discuss like stuff like that, or maybe if they took hearts a little further, do you think you'd mind that?
Yeah, I was about to say, like how Fire Emblem does its support system, that would be cool, where you can just pair two characters up together and then they'll talk out, and the more you pair them up, the higher the rank gets and the different things they talk about. Yeah, so like how like Three Houses, how it does its support system, that would be something that I would be into.
Hopefully they would find some way to make it a Xenoblade thing. Maybe drawing inspiration from Fire Emblem and Persona or whatever, but hopefully making it a thing that hardcore Xenoblade lovers can enjoy.
Yeah, I'm sure they would find a way to do that, because they've always surprised me with what they've done, and things I wouldn't normally be into, they found a way to make it to where I do enjoy it. So I have faith in Monosoft.
What else do you think they should add?
Let's see. Talked about overworld combat. This one might just be a bit of a worry from Xenoblade 3, but adding more like bombastic and dynamic area themes to the next Xenoblade game, like how 1 and 2 had. Xenoblade 3 was just a lot of ambient sounds and ambient music, which makes sense for the theme of Xenoblade 3, and Future Deem kinda fixed that with Aurora Shelf. That theme was amazing and it played everywhere. But
it was.
Yeah, bringing back more like dynamic and bombastic themes like 1 and 2 and X would be nice. That might just be an irrational worry, since it made sense for there to be ambience in 3, but I do miss the big overture themes.
Same. I don't think most of the stuff in no, I don't want to say most of, but I don't think a lot of the things that were kind of like sacrifices for 3 or things that are like coming in the future for the next game. I think 3 makes a lot of like sacrifices that kind of hurt the experience for some people, but overall lend to a very unique game that I don't know if it'd be able to tackle its subject matter as well if it didn't make some of the sacrifices it did make.
Yeah, no, that's why I was saying it's probably just an irrational worry, because like I said, a lot of the sacrifices it made weren't really sacrifices, they're just changes to better emphasize the world itself and the story. So it was all to better immerse yourself into the experience of Xenoblade 3. So it did what it had to do, and it did it very well. So it's not really anything that's wrong with the game. I just hope the next game, if it's not as dark as Xenoblade 3, it brings back those things. But I'm sure now I don't even know why I'm breaking this up, because it's not even an issue. It's just Xenoblade 3 was so different from Xenoblade 1 and 2. It was kind of hard not to notice. So I don't even know why I'm worrying, because the next game is obviously going to be different from that, and it could bring back the big huge themes and everything.
Yeah, speaking of big huge things that Xenoblade 3 doesn't have, I'm really, really, really hoping for Titans to come back. Like, they're one of my favorite things about the series, and it's okay that 3 doesn't have them. I get why, but like, I don't know, just imagining like during the trailers for 3, I was imagining like where on the Titan, or if it was a Titan, the different areas could be. Like when they were in the reefs, I was like, oh, maybe that could be like towards the bottom of the Titan, and they're like sliding around under like above a bottomless pit. So I think just maybe doing something new with Titans for Xenoblade 4 could be cool.
Yeah, I feel like at this point Titans are just a staple for Xenoblade, just the series in general, because Xenoblade 1 started the idea of the Titans, and the 2 Titans themselves were a huge part of the lore and story and just world of Xenoblade 1. Same with the Xenoblade 2, the Titans were like one of the main focuses of the game. Xenoblade X didn't have that, because X is just weird and different from everything in general. And Xenoblade 3 kind of brought back the Titans, but more like integrated with the landmass itself instead of us being on the Titans themselves. So I think bringing back Titans and finding some way to integrate them again would be nice. Maybe we're inside the Titans this time and we explore the insides. Xenoblade 1 kind of did that with the Bionis interior. like being able to go inside the Titans more. Xenoblade 2 as well with Tantal and Araya. So bringing that back, just exploring the Titans in and outside of them would be a lot cooler than just one big landmass.
I don't want to get too far into spoilers, but I do have an idea of how they can integrate Titans. For a tabletop RPG, I was going to start with some friends. The idea was that it was on a Titan, but the Titan was laying on its side and it was asleep. And the whole thing of the game was the Titan was going to wake up, and you had to cut off its life before it wakes up and completely destroys everyone, because everything was built on it like an island.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool idea. Yeah.
Monolith can have that idea for free.
Yeah, so like the story of the game would be to find a way to basically kill the Titan so it doesn't kill everyone else.
Yeah, that could be one potential way they could do it. Like, I don't know, that'd be a cool thing. Once we get to story, I would love to bring up story concepts, but that is definitely one that I would love to see.
Yeah, that would be cool. So like making the like the world itself, like the Titan, an integral part of the story, I think would be a really neat idea. Xenoblade 2 kind of did that, and I guess Xenoblade 1 as well, but more like directly connected to the story would be cool, like the idea you had.
Yeah, and there could also be like maybe a team of people stopping the main party, or maybe like the Titan can like summon like creatures to fight for it. But this is once again into the story, and I don't want to go too far into there until the end. But just more ideas that could potentially be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else for gameplay and all of that. I guess we can move on.
What?
I said I can't really think of anything else for like gameplay and all of that, so I guess we can move on to story if there's nothing else you need to say about it.
There is one more thing I need to say. If they bring back the Kavesi Agnes stuff, I would really appreciate if, rather than like mixing and matching like your Kavesi and Agnes arts, maybe for Kavesi you would have 6 arts instead of 3, and you would use the D-pads, because one of the biggest problems I had with 3's combat was you only had 3 arts and they were on a timer. So if you run out and you don't have Agnes arts yet, or all your Agnes arts are still charging up and you have to do your auto attack, then you don't really have anything you can do except auto attack and wait for them to charge. So having 6 Kavesi arts instead of just 3, or instead of 3 and Agnes arts, could maybe quicken up the game a little bit, because that's why 1's combat was so quickly paced despite being on a timer. You always had an art you could use unless you spam them all.
Yeah, having more Kavesi arts to kind of balance out the waiting, because obviously Agnes arts are a lot faster to recharge since they are based on auto attacks, and auto attacks just generally recharge faster. So having more Kavesi arts to balance it out would be nice, and that's a big reason why I prefer Xenoblade 2 and 3 over 1. Just the combat in general, I much prefer the art recharge arts over the timed arts. I don't know, maybe I'm just bad at the combat in 1, but sitting there just waiting for the arts to charge isn't really a whole lot of fun or engaging. I feel for Xenoblade 2 there's always something you could be doing. So for Xenoblade 1, if you do like spam all your arts, you kind of just have to sit there and wait for them to recharge. Not much else you can do. So maybe that's just an issue with me. Like maybe I just have a Dandori issue. But
Dandori issue. That's fair. That's not really a problem I've ever really come across, but people play in different ways, and like I will admit, no way of playing the game should be, you should be able to play the game mostly the way that you want to. There should, of course, be some limitations.
Yeah.
Something I do recommend, though, if you like spamming arts for your next playthrough, maybe try playing like a tank character like Dumban or Ryan, because you'll always have bards you can use with them.
Yeah, eventually, well, I'm replaying through Xenoblade 1, like New Game Plus right now, but eventually when I do another New Game Plus playthrough or fresh playthrough, even a challenge run, I will try some things differently, because I just unload damage with Melia. That's really all I've been doing for like the past year. Changing up different characters I play in different playstyles would be refreshing.
Yeah, I recommend that for all of the Xenoblade games, honestly. Even if like you're having less fun in the moment, it'll be more fun overall because you won't get tired of the character. And maybe encouraging that more in Xenoblade 4 would be cool.
Yeah, or I was thinking maybe a system like if you stayed on a certain character for too long, they would start to perform worse. That might sound bad, but kind of think of it like a Pokemon trainer in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. If you played as one of the 3 Pokemon for a certain amount of time, their attacks would start doing less damage. They'd start doing less knockbacks, so kind of incentivize you to switch between the Pokemon. So something like that, although that might hurt more than it helps, but just an idea to throw out there.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really cool debuff or maybe a gimmick for some battles. I wouldn't want that to be the entire game because I don't want to be like, oh, I want to play as my fun character. Too bad you can't, he's tired. But I do think that's like a really cool idea for a debuff. If you're like fighting like a frog, a Ruby, or whatever they're called, and they like spit stuff at you and you're like, oh no, I gotta switch over to my other guy to like heal him or so I can attack with this guy efficiently. Also adding the infield like ability to help people up from topple or to like leave other statuses during battle, like in 1, that would be very appreciated in 4.
Yeah, I don't really like the way Xenoblade 3 does it, at least for like debuffs like bind, launch, and sleep, where you have to like wiggle the stick and mash the A button, because sometimes that does get a little tiring back to back, and especially for sleep. I don't know what it is, but the sleep lasts for so long and you have to mash for so long, it's insane. So being able,
it really does.
Yeah, I don't know why it's that long, but just being able to go over to a party member, press B to help them up, or to hold like the A button to fill up the circle to get up, I think would be a lot easier for a lot of people's hands to deal with.
Yeah, it would be. Or once again, you can have it so they can help you out while you're in the field, or you have to spam it to get up. Both could happen, but there could be a toggle to make it so that people with like hands that cramp easily or hands that get tired don't have to spam. That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be a lot better. And bring back QTEs from Xenoblade 2. I love those. The QTEs from the specials. I love those.
I forgot. I missed those in 3. That's probably like the thing I missed the most in 3. I completely forgot about those. Thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely bring those back in 4.
Yeah, those were some of the most fun mechanics in Xenoblade 2. Some people might find them annoying, but I love the QTEs, and every special has a different combination of when you have to mash or time the button press. I love the QTE.
Absolutely. They made the combat super engaging, in my opinion.
In Xenoblade 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why.
I don't know. Yeah, like I said, they kind of had that with the whole mashing thing to get out of debuffs, but that's a bit more stale and tiring. And also, one thing I also remembered is Xenoblade X, you can switch between 2 different weapons. So you have like guns for long range attacks, and then like swords and knives and stuff for close range. So melee and ranged attacks, being able to switch between the 2 like Xenoblade X. That is one of, if not my favorite part of the X combat. I really hope they bring that back for the next game.
Me too, actually. That sounds like a blessing.
It's so badass, just like being able to switch between dual guns to dual swords. It's so cool.
You just pull out 2 giant swords?
Yeah. One of the classes, Full Metal Jaguar, that's Elma's class. They have 2 guns, like 2 assault rifles, and then 2 swords. You can just switch between. It's so badass.
You're fighting like a giant monkey, and you're like, get ready to taste my swords.
Yeah, it's so
Monkey's
cool.
like,
Yeah, and all the classes, they have like different weapons too. There's some with javelins, snipers, like ray guns, photon cannons, Gatling gun. It's so like diverse. All the different weapons the classes get. You can switch between long range and melee. I miss that so much from X.
One more thing that I just thought of for 4, maybe different classes, like maybe for like if there is a sniper rifle class in that game, maybe if you had to like, if you were like super low health, but you had to like stay in the back and maybe you had to get like behind cover or something during battles. That could be cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they'd implement that, but it would be a pretty nice idea.
And maybe for like daggers, you have to stay really close at all times or you'll be out of range. Or you'll do like crazy damage.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, like having certain weapons that can only attack from certain ranges would be cool. And again, like Fire Emblem, that would be pretty dope actually. It might seem annoying at first, like, oh, I'm too close so I can't attack. But obviously not make that for every class, so there is some in between. But I think it would be pretty cool idea.
When you're close, you pull out your daggers.
Oh yeah, you like switch between the 2. Okay, yeah, like Xenoblade X. Okay, yeah, that would be cool. Oh, okay, so like if you're certain distance away, you can use your long range, but if you get close enough, your long range weapon won't work anymore, and you have to switch to your close range weapon and then an attack. I like that.
Yeah, I hope actually. That sounds like super fun.
It does. It'd make the combat a lot more fun and engaging.
Yeah, and maybe like you'd have to like maybe for when you're like an attacker and you're like in the middle of the field and you get super low health. Maybe if you like went directly behind like a tank character, because you know in cutscenes like the tanks like run in front of the attacker and they take the block, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if you had to like physically do that and move, so like area of effect attacks don't hit you while you have to like wait for a healer to heal the party.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. You can like actually use tanks as tanks, so they have actual hitboxes, and if you stand behind them, they deflect the attack for you. That's dope. I like that actually. Yeah, I didn't realize.
Xenoblade has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I didn't realize how many things they could do with the games that would just make it so much better.
Also, just adding like more like stuff from the cutscenes, like maybe if like if an enemy with a sword has contact with your sword, maybe there's like a chance you go into like a quick time event where you're like actually in like a sword duel, and maybe the camera could like swing in from like a side view, and you'd have to like do a certain like button command or something. Maybe you have to like do a little mini game to like disarm them or something, or maybe like if like during gameplay, if you're fighting against like an enemy with a sword, you could knock their sword out of their hand and they'd have to go run and pick it up and they'd be defenseless without it. But maybe the same could happen to you, and maybe like your teammates could help with that. So if like you knock out your sword out of your hand, instead of you having like running go get it, maybe your teammates could be like, here you go, and they could like toss it to you or something.
Yeah, and that's funny because like a lot of these ideas they can take from Zelda, because like you said, with the 2 swords clashing, you kind of have to fight for the power. It's just similar with Twilight Princess's final boss fight with Ganondorf. You like clash swords and you kind of have to mash to overpower him. That would be cool. And like the whole knocking the sword out of the opponent's hand, Breath of the Wild has that. If you hit an enemy hard enough, their weapon goes flying and they run over to grab it, and if you pick up their weapon and it's gone, they just like pick up and throw rocks at you. So adding stuff like that would make it so much better.
Maybe no button mashing though.
Huh?
I said maybe no button mashing though. I don't know about that every battle.
Yeah, not the mashing, but I'm sure they can find some way to change that, but still have that core mechanic in there.
Yeah, if they don't want to integrate it into specials, integrate it into like little like quick time events you have to like do during the gameplay.
Yes, just there's so much they could just do with series that they just haven't yet. And that's
Yeah, maybe you could like pull your the overworld and like get like a quick strike behind the guy to like maybe take out their health bar or something.
yeah, that's one of the things I'm excited about the next Xenoblade game for the most is just to see what new mechanics they bring in, because if this video isn't evidence enough, there's so many different things they can do for the next game. And I'm kind of hopeful because, like Takahashi said, the next game is going to be vastly different from what came before and betray our expectations in a good way. So they could bring some of these things that we were talking about, or something completely new no one's ever thought about before, into the next game. And I'm so excited to see what the next game will be.
I think Takahashi's the only game dev I trust. Toby Fox and Takahashi are the only two game devs I trust fully.
Yeah, mine would be like Takahashi and Yoko Taro.
Oh, who's Yoko Taro?
He's the guy behind Nier. He created Nier. I don't know if you're familiar with Nier, but
I am. I gotta get into that.
yeah, he's like the biggest troll in the gaming like industry, and he's great. I love Yoko Taro. But like
Yeah,
even though
so
he's go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I said, even though he's like a huge troll and just loves fucking with people, he damn sure does know how to make an incredible game. Like, phenomenal game developer.
Yeah, I was saying maybe Takahashi could like, I don't know like how much he talks to like the community. I don't know if he runs the Twitter account, but maybe if he could like actively make tweets or something that are like misleading and completely subvert everyone's expectations or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like how like Sakurai with Smash.
Sakurai.
Because like Sakurai, like he had his own YouTube channel. He'd make YouTube videos on Smash. He'd make tweets on Smash and everything. So if Takahashi interacted with the community like how Sakurai did, that would be amazing.
I'd be Takahashi's YouTuber's like biggest fan. I'd subscribe day one.
Yeah, I'd be there, watch every video as soon as it drops, everything.
Yeah, I'll be in the middle of like a test at school, and then like my phone will go off, and I'll see it's Takahashi, and I'll be like, "Teacher, this is
an emergency.
The second coming." Really?
Yeah, I gotta watch this Takahashi video.
Like I'll grab a pen and like stab myself and be like, "Teacher, I gotta go to the nurse really bad."
Yeah, just to go watch Takahashi.
Yeah, I'll be like in the bathroom with like a bleeding, like a gouged out arm, like they're so easy to trick.
Yeah, like I'll be at work, get the notification. Oh, sorry, just go to the bathroom for like 20 minutes just to watch the Takahashi video.
Yeah, people are like, and you're like, you don't have headphones or anything, so people in other stalls are like hearing it, and they're just like one you're watching.
Yeah. Great. Anything else you want to talk about for like adding stuff to the gameplay before we move on to story and all that?
Yeah, just thought of this now. What if in a Xenoblade game there was like a boulder, and below you there was like a camp of enemies, and you know in like Breath of the Wild how you can like roll boulders into like bokoblin camps?
Yeah.
There you go. Or maybe like
yeah.
the rain, but you slip, but also maybe you slip or something. I don't know.
Breath of the Wild was just so innovative and such a game changer that it kind of just becomes the standard now. Like so many things they could add that were in that game to other games. And like Nintendo already did it with Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, so what's stopping them from doing it with Xenoblade? You know? So.
Maybe like maybe snipers you could use in the overworld and you can like snipe guys, or maybe you could do that with any ranged weapon.
There's just having the different classes interact with the world more like that would also go a long way, make it more immersive and just more fun to play.
One very last thing I'd like to mention is the art style. I'm not like the hugest on how 3 looks. I've always kind of thought it was blurry, and I'm sure it would look beautiful with like a higher resolution, maybe better textures. But I would personally very much prefer if it was like a bit more of a cartoony game, because I think 1 definitive edition and 2 are going to age really well. 3 I'm not so sure about. Nothing against 3, but like,
Yeah, I was gonna say the DE and 2 art styles are very charming, I'd say, and they would age well. Xenoblade 3, I haven't really like looked into that much. I haven't really thought about the art style all that much, but at least for the 4 games, Xenoblade 1 and 2 are definitely the most appealing.
I'd say.
I think Xenoblade X is more closer to 3's art style, but like the art style is not bad, but I do feel like it won't age as well as 1 and 2, like you said.
I do really like the character models in 3. I think the eyes, especially how they kind of like realistically like dart around, I think that is so just like really pretty to look at.
Yeah, and one thing I did notice when I first started playing Xenoblade 3 was the hair physics are surprisingly realistic compared to all the other games. Like in a certain scene, like the way Yuni's hair moved or Mio's, it was like, whoa, that was great. Yeah.
I'm not personally so sure about like the longer hair, but I definitely know the shorter hair looks amazing.
Yeah, the longer hair, it does have some clipping issues, but the short hair, the way it moves around, like compared to like her head movement is so like mesmerizing to look at. Even though it's just a small detail that doesn't really matter, it is very cool and mesmerizing once you do notice it.
So yeah, so I would just say like polish up the longer hair and like they're all good for 3 or for 4. My goodness, 4.
Yeah. I have no sense. Yeah, I don't really have anything else that I can think of right now.
Just like a few things I guess I can throw out. Maybe like an anime intro, because like Astral Chain had an anime intro, and I know you said you're not really into Persona, but those games have anime intros, and I think that'd be kind of cool for Xenoblade.
Anime intro would go hard. That would be amazing. It's like Xenoblade is an anime, but in game form. Like it would be perfect for an anime. Like Xenogears has a lot of anime cutscenes. XenoSaga doesn't have any, which is kind of surprising, but Xenoblade would definitely benefit a lot from Xenoblade or anime cutscenes. Especially like some fight scenes would look so cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't want them to be like super common though. I'd want them to not be super often. I wouldn't want them to try and like copy like Persona, because I think Persona's anime cutscenes are like they have this really nice old timey look. For Xenoblade 3 or for Xenoblade 4, maybe like some type of like, I don't know, maybe some like type of bombastic I think like a hi-fi rushed kind of looking anime scenes where it's like kind of 3D but not really would kind of look cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like obviously not put the anime cutscenes everywhere, but just like maybe just like in the intro and ending of the game would be enough. But I wouldn't be complaining if they sprinkled some in like throughout the game either.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing I can say is just like add maybe some artwork in the menus, because I think 1's menu is visually good, 2's is my favorite, and then 3's is not my cup of tea. But I think more like illustrations, more like interesting to look at backgrounds, definitely more soothing colors and a unique font. Just like go all out.
Yeah, and I guess like kind of do what Xenoblade 1 did, where after a certain amount of time passes, it'll start like doing overhead like panning shots of different areas and everything. That would be that would make it a lot more interesting to look at it.
That happens in Xenoblade 1?
Yeah, Pretty sure, yeah. If you sit on the menu, the main menu for a certain amount of time, it does take a while, so I don't think a lot of people saw it. But if you sit there for long enough, it'll like the sun will set, it'll go nighttime, and then it'll start like doing panning shots of different areas and everything.
Yeah, I was talking more of like the in-game menus, but I think the title screens are usually really good.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. So yeah, I see. What
Oh
you
no,
mean.
for talking title screens, 1 is definitely my favorite. 2 has a lot of really unique title screens, and I really appreciate that. And then 3 has a pretty good one as well, I'd say.
Yeah. But yeah, as for like the in-game menus, yeah, more like actual colorful and just backgrounds like Xenoblade 2, but better. I think that would help and make the menus a lot more engaging. Like Xenoblade 1, probably my least favorite. It's just a bunch of brown and gray with some tabs, while the background of the game is blurred. Xenoblade 2's is no surprise my favorite. I think it looks the best. The bright blue does look very nice, and then you can see the Titans in the background, and the background scrolls along with your movements across the menu, so I like that. And Xenoblade 3 Xenoblade 3 just has a very pretty just purple and orange like contrast for its menu. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, something I picked up on is 1's menus kind of look like a book, kind of. That's the vibe I get. They look like a book, and that's like the brown and white. The brown is the cover, and the pages are like all the stuff inside of that. But I've always kind of thought of it as a mystical book. 2's is kind of like a big old world map with all like the Titans in the background, of course, but like also just like the colors remind me of like pictures of the globe. And then 3 is like the inside of the iris, basically, that they have.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, even with small stuff like the menus that don't matter to actual gameplay, Monolith Soft still puts a whole lot of attention and detail and care into just the smaller details like that. That's what a lot of people really appreciate and what makes them one of the best, if not the best game developer. Just they put a lot of attention and care into the small details that don't seem like they'd matter on the surface, but over time they build up, and it really does make for an incredible game. And that reminds me, the next Xenoblade game, I also want like a separate menu theme like Xenoblade 3 has, but obviously being able to toggle it.
Yeah, I prefer to be able to toggle it off personally, but like, hey, more music is better.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. More music, more incredible music, because this Iris Network, the menu theme is very nice. I like it a lot, but sometimes when I need to go in and out of the menu in quick succession, it does kind of just interrupts the area theme, and it's an area theme that I'm really vibing with, and then here comes the menu theme, and then you fuck up and got to go back in the menu, and then it replays again. So it does get a bit grating at times.
Yeah, maybe the next menu theme should have maybe a more soothing intro, because for 3 it's like you'll be like listening to like really calming music, and then it'll be like majestic, and then like in the piano solo, and it's like, oh,
that's nice.
But yeah, it's good. It is a good song.
Xenoblade 3 just did a lot of things right. Story time.
It did. Okay, so I have like at least 3 unique pitches for a story, but one of them is a lot more in-depth than the others, so should I start with that?
If you want to, so whichever one you want to first.
Okay, we can take turns doing pitches, so you can do the next pitch, but this one is like, this is a pitch I've like thought about making a video for. So imagine this is the same world. This is Ionios completed. It's all together. It's one unique world. It's all good. It's peaceful everywhere. And all the characters from Xenoblade 3 have kind of grown up. Like there's like Glimmer and Nickel, they'd still be around. KOS-MOS is back because she comes back at the end of Future Redeemed. Everything seems great. And the point of 4, rather than going against some greater struggle, would to be protect the peace.
Uh-huh.
because maybe there could be like a big midtown that's like connected by a bunch of titans where everyone can live peacefully, all the races are mixed together and everyone's happy. But maybe there's like scum, so it's kind of like a police game, and you have to like go out to like these different far out lands. Like maybe there's like new titans that have been created, maybe not made up of like old titans, but like brand new complete ones. So maybe there could be like a giant grass titan, or not grass titan, but maybe like a giant like titan that kind of goes along the same type of aesthetic design as Xenoblade 1's Gar Plains and Gormati and Milik Meadows and something like that. Or maybe there could be completely new aesthetics, hopefully new aesthetics, something like Uriah, where it's not the same theme as Uriah, but more areas that really glow up. And the whole game could be around like taking down like terrorist organizations that want to destroy the world and get rid of the peace.
Yeah, that's cool. Just taking down Torna. That'd be funny.
more Tornas. Like maybe there could be like entire gangs. And I have ideas for the characters too, but you can go if you want to go.
I don't really have any like story stuff. When I was thinking about this video, I was more thinking about gameplay stuff, and the story stuff I do want to see integrates XenoSaga into it, so I don't know how plausible that would be, because after beating XenoSaga, I don't know, I love XenoSaga a lot. Like the lore and just story of the overall series is amazing, although Xenoblade is my favorite out of Gears Saga and Blade in terms of everything. XenoSaga is getting very, very close. XenoSaga is amazing, especially the third game. And at least for me, I don't like seeing things left unfinished. So even though XenoSaga's story was relatively wrapped up with what it had, it originally wasn't supposed to be the way it is, and there was supposed to be a lot more. So like I've said in multiple videos before, the new Xenoblade game could be like a mix between what XenoSaga 4 would have been and obviously new Xenoblade stuff. So Xenoblade 4 could kind of tell a similar story to what the rest of XenoSaga was supposed to be. But that's not very likely, but that's just what I would want to see. More XenoSaga incorporated, since it seems like they're trying to canonize and incorporate Saga into Blade now, if the ending of Future Redeem is anything to go by.
What would it be called? Would it be called XenoSaga Blade or Xenoblade The Saga Continues?
Yeah, it would still be Xenoblade, maybe with some like subtitle like that, the saga continues. It wouldn't be called XenoSaga, and it wouldn't really be exactly XenoSaga. It would just be Xenoblade, but kind of continuing the story of XenoSaga, but with its own Xenoblade spin on it. It maybe bring back KOS-MOS and like Chaos, but not bring over too much of Saga for obvious reasons.
So that definitely leads into who I had as an idea for the party members of Xenoblade 4 if my idea were to come true. There would obviously be like a new protagonist, but the second character would be KOS-MOS.
I'm not complaining. I love KOS-MOS. She's one of my favorite characters. Great, so no complaint.
And she'd be the poppy ass character that you can kind of build up however you want. And her thing is, now that I don't know her lore in XenoSaga, but I know that she's after these alien guys, and maybe her new goal could be, oh, now I gotta defend this planet. Maybe the alien guys, I don't know if they like go extinct or whatever at the end of XenoSaga, maybe they could be a threat. Maybe they could have some influence, even if it's not like a direct one, because I know you said you don't want XenoSaga to be too much in it, but like they could be.
Sorry. You go. I'm gonna say I'd love for XenoSaga to be incorporated as much as it can into Blade, but I know that's not realistic. So probably very, very few XenoSaga stuff would be incorporated if it did. But if it was just full on XenoSaga 4, I'd love that too. But what were you saying?
Yeah. having KOS-MOS' story at least grow and maybe be both something that can be unique to that game and also something that XenoSaga players can appreciate could be cool. But just having her in that game as like maybe the second or whatever party member would be cool. And then the next two characters would be Nickel and Glimmer, but more grown up. Because one of my biggest problems with Future Redeemed is how little they're in the game, because Matthew, Rex, and Shulk are the majority of the game's focus. And Nickel and Glimmer, who I love both of them to death, don't get much time. So seeing them in this brand new world, completely fresh slates, maybe meeting each other for the first time, being able to do their service as like protectors could be cool. And then I don't know what the last few characters would be. I'm assuming there'd be 6 again because I want the 6 party members. But something that I would really, really appreciate if they're doing the mixed classes thing, where some of the characters have Kavesi and some have Agnes, something I would really like is if one of the Kavesi characters was a driver and one of the Agnes characters was a blade. And maybe their gimmick is they have to be a certain distance from each other, and when they are, they become like the strongest characters, both of them do. But when they're too far apart, they become a little weaker. So maybe you'd have to think about that when doing classes.
That's a cool idea, actually. I don't have any issues with that. That'd be a great party concept. Not everyone is the same, but they still all mesh well together and work together as a party. I like that.
And maybe if they're going really hard into fan service, maybe Mithra's child. I don't know. I don't think it's Dirk. I would be very sad if it was. Maybe Mithra's child could be like I don't know about a party member, since they'd already have one of the Rex's kids as a party member, but maybe as like a bigger part of the game.
Yeah, more of like a supporting character, kind of like Gondor, Xenoblade 3, just like a supporting character that's there to help.
Mm-hmm. And maybe, like, I don't know how they'd handle it, but maybe they could try. I know a lot of people really don't like the gacha, but I really like it, and I'd like to see it maybe handled maybe slightly differently in Xenoblade 4 or whatever. Maybe that could be like one of the party members. Maybe it's just a random gacha blade, or it could be the hero character. I guess that would make more sense, but I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of understand why people don't like the gacha system, but at the same time, it's really not as bad as people make it out to be. I love the gacha system. It's a fun way to get different rare blades and to diversify combat. I think it's great. Obviously, some reworks would need to be made, but the gacha system coming back would definitely be something I would enjoy.
Yeah. But yeah, just adding more stuff like that. I only have really only one other concept idea, and that would be me and our friend were messing around with ChatGPT and asking it for, like, as a joke, like, for different, like, ideas for Xenoblade 4. Oh, what could it be? And one of the idea that it consistently brought up was time travel. And Xenoblade is a series about time itself, so maybe that could be incorporated some way.
That would be cool. I'm not a huge fan of time travel, more specifically like a whole multiverse thing. But in terms of time travel, if like, I don't have an issue with it, but I'd prefer if it wasn't like a huge part of the story. Like XenoSaga 3 did time travel pretty well. I don't really want to spoil anything, but I'm gonna try my best not to spoil anything. The party kind of get transported back in time to a certain event, and during that event we get more lore about what took place during that event, and then after it happens we go back into the present. I'm not going to give the like in between details, but something like that. It happened one time and it was like a big important story moment, but time travel wasn't like a huge part of the overarching story. Something like that I'd be fine with.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if they were going to incorporate it, it would probably be bigger. than just one scene. But I'm sure that if they incorporated it, it wouldn't be in a messy way. The best case scenario is it's like kind of like maybe not exactly like Chrono Trigger, but maybe something similar to that. Maybe it could be like maybe something similar to Torna, where like each Titan has like a past, present, and future form, and there's like different collectibles. So it's kind of like you can go between those different things.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be extreme though.
Yeah, incorporating the time travel more into like the gameplay than the story, I think would be cool. So being, like you said, being able to kind of like travel between the past, present, and future forms of these Titans in gameplay would be very cool, and kind of incorporating that into the story. But I mean, time travel would be a cool concept for a Xenoblade game, but at least just for like a personal thing, I wouldn't want it to be like the big main focus of the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure about like, oh, we have to go back in time to this specific moment because we accidentally changed something and we have to like do something about it. I would not enjoy that. I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. See, XenoSaga 3 kinda did that, but the way Saga 3 handled that was, I liked it a lot. Like, they didn't go back and really change anything. The whole like traveling back in time in Saga, that was more of a way to learn about more of the lore and what actually happened during that time and what caused the big event that we've been hearing about the whole series but don't know exactly what it is. So like going back to learn important story details like that, and then going back into the present with the knowledge we know now, and that like affecting the story, like how Saga did it, would be that I wouldn't prefer if it did that. I know it's kind of hard because I can't really explain what it is because you haven't played Saga yet, so you don't really fully understand what I'm getting at. But if we ever do play, I'm saying if you ever do play Saga and you get to XenoSaga 3, you get to that part, you'll know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think I understand. Like, I think time travel for is that like the idea is like it's like context, they get to like see the event and they have like new context on the world? Yeah,
basically that's what it is.
Okay, I do think that would be cool, a cool moment maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, and
those are, I think that's...
Go ahead.
Sorry, you go?
No, you go ahead.
I think that's pretty much like every single concept I have or idea. I think that all of the Xenoblade games are extremely quality. I think that they're 1 and 2 to me are 2 of my favorite games of all time, and I love 3 a ton, so I don't really think the series can miss. I think that 4 will be an amazing game.
Yeah, Xenoblade 2, my favorite game of all time, no secret at this point, and Xenoblade is my favorite series of all time. So I truly have enjoyed and loved every game in the series. Even Xenoblade 1, even though it's my least favorite, I still do like it a lot, and it's amazing. I don't think anybody can tell a story the way Monolith Soft and Takahashi does with Xenoblade, and just Xeno in general. So I'm very hopeful for Xenoblade 4 or X2 or Saga, whatever the next game is. But one more thing before we finish. If XenoSaga were to be incorporated into Xenoblade, the way I'd like to see it is that at the end of Future Redeem, we saw KOS-MOS crashing back down to Lost Jerusalem, aka Earth. And well, okay, maybe I shouldn't because this is kind of spoilers.
You can add a spoiler warning at the beginning.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you though. Okay, just
I know about all the lore.
Okay, so you already know about Saga and all that?
Yeah, isn't the place, the Lost Jerusalem or whatever you mentioned, isn't that like a Xenogears place?
Both in Xenogears and XenoSaga, but the one in Gears is different. So XenoSaga likes to use a lot of the terms and names from Gears, but they're not related in any way.
Okay. I think I understand what you're talking about since I watched the Luxon video, but
Yeah. So at the end of XenoSaga 3, so Nephilim, you already know about the ending of 3, right?
yeah, I've beaten all the games.
Of XenoSaga 3?
Oh, XenoSaga 3, I do know the ending.
Okay, so we know how Nephilim, Abel, and Chaos, they all gate out back to Lost Jerusalem with the Zohar, and they said the key that lies to saving the universe is on Lost Jerusalem, and then Shion and Junior, I think, set out to find Lost Jerusalem, and then we see KOS-MOS finally falling back down to Lost Jerusalem, even though it wasn't stated that it was Lost Jerusalem. It's kind of obvious. You know, we see the same thing at the end of Future Redeemed, the blue light falling back down to Earth. It's KOS-MOS falling to Lost Jerusalem. And then Xenoblade 4 could pick up with maybe some characters from Xenoblade, like Shulk, Rex, and some other characters setting out to find this blue light, because they saw this blue light falling to Earth. They set out to find it. They see that it's KOS-MOS, and then they rebuild KOS-MOS with the help from like Torna and Shulk. Actually, I think Torna might be dead, but Shulk, Nicole, and Riku, whatever, could help build back up KOS-MOS. And then KOS-MOS tells them, "Oh, I need to find Chaos, in the Zohar." So the game takes place setting out to find Chaos. About halfway through, we find Chaos, Nephilim, and the Zohar, and then he tells us about this key that is here on Lost Jerusalem that'll help save the universe. And then by the end of the game, either we find out what the key is, or we actually find that key, and the game ends there. And then the next game after that could pick up on actually using that to save the universe or whatever. Maybe it's
my question is, what would
Go ahead.
my question is, if Pyra and Mithra were in that game, what would they say when they saw the conduit? What is it?
Zohar?
Yeah, what would they say if they saw the Zohar?
Okay, first, I don't know if Pyra and Mithra are even alive anymore. I know their core crystal was in Matthew's gauntlets, but I don't know if that's just like because that's the core for the Trinity processor, or if that's actually them. But if they were there, I guess they'd be surprised, like, oh, the conduit is still here. I thought it disappeared when Klaus left. And then I guess KOS-MOS and Chaos kind of described to them what the Zohar is. But see, that's one of the biggest issues with joining Saga and Blade together, is like the Zohar and the conduit both can't be there since they're effectively the same thing. So that one I'm kind of lost on. That's one of the biggest reasons why Saga wouldn't work in Blade, because the conduit and Zohar itself. But I'm sure if that ever would be a thing, which I doubt it, they'd find some way to explain it. I haven't thought that much into it yet.
Yeah. It would be cool. I'm not sure how much I want Shulk and Rex and all of the 1 and 2 gang to have a presence in 4, because they already have a lot of Future Redeemed and they have their own games. And I feel like getting the voice actors or getting replacement voice actors is really hard to do a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm never gonna be like, oh no, Pyra's in this game. Like, it's always gonna be like a happiness. I'm never gonna feel sad by seeing my friends in the next game.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I obviously prefer there to be new characters as well, but I wouldn't be complaining if those older characters were to at least make an appearance. But yeah, having a new cast, but at least having like KOS-MOS and Chaos and them return would be nice.
Yeah, I'd prefer if maybe they were a little bit in the beginning. Maybe they could discover KOS-MOS and start whatever force it is to be good. But I want them to retire. I want them to retire and be happy. Maybe I'd
Yeah.
like there to be, maybe there could be like a side plot where you can like see Rex and his family doing their own things. Maybe that could be like a cute interaction at one point.
Yeah, that they'd just be like not minor, I guess like minor side characters. Like you can go to a village and see them, but they won't play like some huge role in the story again. So I guess to just like make everyone happy, that could work. Like we have a new party, but the older characters are still there as like NPCs and you can talk to them.
Yeah, maybe at the most unlockable characters that like you can get like post game, just for fun.
Yeah.
Like please let Shulk and Rex have happiness though.
Yeah, Shulk is not feeling it anymore. Let him rest.
No.
Oh. But yeah, I don't. That's really like my main like story concept is just incorporating XenoSaga into it and picking up where Saga 3 left off, and where Saga 4 would have picked up. But that's just
Maybe.
wishful thinking.
Yeah, maybe if they're feeling bold, incorporate a little bit of Gears.
Oh, see, no, that one might be tough. I'd love for them to include Gears, but that's even harder, a lot more harder than Saga, because Square is very stingy with Gears for some reason.
Oh, true.
Even though they do
True.
nothing with it.
That. No, it's another corpse for their throne.
Yeah, it baffles me that they still hold on to the Gears IP but do absolutely nothing with it. So it's a shame. Gears deserves more love that it will probably never get because it's Square. But however,
They're too busy making Battle in Wonderland.
yeah, too busy making Battle in Wonderland. Final Fantasy
Too busy making
47.
Build.
But I don't know. I'm hopeful for the Xeno series, at least Xenoblade, and what's coming next. I know Takahashi is whipping up some gourmet shit right now. I'm hungry.
True.
I can't wait to see what they have next within the next couple years. I will be here waiting.
I'm not ready for a full course meal yet. I'd like some appetizers, maybe like a Xenoblade X soup or something.
Yeah.
Some art book breadsticks, but I eventually will be hungry for Xenoblade 4.
Yeah. So I still think that some type of something with XenoSaga, whether that be like a re-release at some point, is possible before the next big Xenoblade game. And one of my biggest like supporting points is that you could get like a XenoSaga remaster of at least the first game by Bandai Namco or something, to kind of like hold us over until the next Xenoblade game comes out, because we already got that with Xenoblade DE came out while we were waiting for Xenoblade 3. So maybe something like that, but it would be a bit harder because I don't know if Monolith Soft would be working on a XenoSaga remaster, because Namco still holds the IP. It's very messy, but
Namco helped with Smash.
that is true, and there's a lot of evidence pointing towards something with XenoSaga happening, and Monolith could be helping with that, since Bandai Namco and Nintendo opened up a studio to exclusively work with each other, so that could mean something. I'm not gonna get back into all of that because it was very controversial when I talked about it, but there are possibilities. I'm gonna just say that.
Hopefully.
But yeah, I don't really.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was say I don't really have anything else I want to talk about or add.
All right, you wanna go?
I mean, unless you still have something you want to say, I don't mind.
Unless I come up with something like in a few days, which will probably have the video up by then. I don't have anything else, but it's just a very exciting idea.
Yeah. So many different things they can do with the name. It's almost impossible to think of everything they could. But I know they're gonna surprise everybody and come up with another banger ass game.
You think it'll win Game of the Year this time?
Much as I'd want it to, unfortunately not. I know it's not going to. That's the sad part.
It does. I'm putting in my vote before the game even comes out. That's how much I trust Takahashi.
Yeah, see, everyone also thought Xenoblade 3 would win Best Soundtrack, but somehow it didn't. I trust Takahashi, but the Game Awards are, I don't want to say they're rigged, but they definitely hold some bias.
It deserved Best RPG at the least.
Yeah, it didn't
Like
win
Elden
anything.
Ring is like barely an RPG. Got its freaking award.
Yeah, I think it's just because, a new Dark Souls game. That's really it, I think. Why Elden Ring won it.
Yeah.
Bigger audience,
Yeah,
so...
fair enough.
Unfortunately, Xenoblade 3 got robbed.
It's Game of the Year in my heart.
Yeah, Game of the Year and soundtrack.
I think it's been my Game of the Year every single year Xenoblade games come out. That's awesome.
I didn't start watching the Game Awards until like 2-3 years ago. So my Game of the Year last year was not last year, because last year, it was Tears of the Kingdom. Before that, my pick was Metroid Dread, and then before that, I don't even remember.
Before that was 2020.
Yeah, I don't think I started watching Game Awards until 21. 21 or 22 is when I started watching. So very recently. I think 22.
Yeah.
Hopefully a game will win sometime in the future, whenever that is.
It deserves something. It deserves something.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They have way too much love and care put into these games for them not to win anything.
They just these are probably some of the most soulful big AAA games.
Like compared to a lot of stuff coming out now, Xenoblade is definitely, at least for Xenoblade 3, out of everything that released, was one of, if not the most finely tuned and cared for game, made out of passion and not just for money.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to do the outro now?
I guess I can just do the outro now. Anything?
All right. Am I allowed to shout out my YouTube?
Shout out whatever you want.
Okay, you go first, and then I'll say.
First of all, thank you for even coming on here and doing this video with me.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been an honor.
Oh, of course. I'm always down to do collabs with whoever about basically whatever. I love doing collabs and kind of just having the community come together and collab like this, and everyone just come together as a community is really fun. One of my main goals actually about becoming a content creator is giving smaller creators some more recognition that they deserve and a place to speak and everything. So just help smaller channels grow and build a community. So thank you for coming on here and talking with me about all of this.
Thank you for having me. It was super fun. If you want to check out my stuff, I have my main channel, Skull Kid Kazooie, where I upload scripted content. I mostly do game and film reviews, but I occasionally do other stuff. I want to start doing top 10 lists, and I want to start doing game challenges. But I have other more scripted content planned. And on my second channel, Skull Kid Tui, I have unscripted content. I plan to upload on there a lot. That's where I'm going to be uploading any collabs. I want to start a series that's kind of critical, but kind of not. And that'll hopefully be up soon. I'm doing it with a bunch of friends. Maybe I'll have you on sometime.
Yeah, no complaints from me.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be your type of game, but like, hey, we could definitely like do something together. That'd just be where all of my non-scripted stuff goes. But either channel, totally appreciate anyone could check it out. But yeah, thank you, Paragon and Torna. You've been amazing. This has been super fun, and I hope that people enjoyed this.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's really about it. So see you next mission and play some goddamn Xenoblade.